Let me help you with that, stepsis. What do you say to someone after catching him while watching porn to make it any less awkward? My favorite bro is back for another story time, so glad you made it. Your boy Andrew here narrating another story time. Since you've made it this far, can you hit that like button? It really helps out with the algorithm. If you do, I'll go ahead and send you some edibles. Thanks for doing that. Anyway, let's start these stories. Don't you dare click that skip button. My dad just laughed and said, "This will stay between us." For a dad, it was a very bro move. Got caught once when I was young. Was greeted with "alright wanker" for years and years. Best friend showing me porn with two women when his dad walks in and sees us. Dad walks out, mom asks, "What are they up to?" He responds, "Studying anatomy." My dad, who doesn't know computers, got on YouTube with my help one day, and he stayed on the computer all day until early that next morning browsing. I came home late and he was cosily looking at pics. Then slowly hit the red X and said he found a new band. You don't do what my roommate did in our freshman year of college and tell everyone we knew on our floor, the girls' floor above us, and everyone else. I was humiliated and hurt. It's not like you didn't do the same thing. Duck you, Eric. If you're my grandmother, it's okay, Mike, I'll just leave your tea and biscuits on the table. Try not to play with you Willie too much, you'll go blind, before leaving the room slowly in reverse backwards. Can confirm this is one of the reasons I'm mental as an adult. My mum walked in while I was licking my ex out. She goes, "Oh whoops, what do you want for tea? Or are you full?" I could have died at that very moment. She then done it another 2 more times after that. I've seen this one before. Not bad for an every level climax, but if you really want to maximize your multi-level orgasm, you're gonna want to use the Harryhausen method with a little bit of autoesophageal flex breathing while using a Scottish flick and twist. My dad walked in on me, realized what you was doing, and immediately closed the door again. Then, a couple seconds later, he opened it back up without looking at me, but I hadn't had my dick out yet anyway, peeked at what was on my computer screen, and said okay, just making sure. Edit. I realize this may make my dad sound like he's homophobic, checking to make sure I'm not watching gay porn, but I assure you he is not. He was just making a joke to ease the tension. I walked in on my uncle watching porn in the living room, and I pretended like I didn't notice. He was fully clothed, so he probably was just about to get started. I think he thought I wasn't home. I had to make it not weird, so I randomly started talking about school and whatever else I could think of, and I could tell that he knew that I knew and I knew that he knew, but we just didn't bring it up. When I was a teen, I was showing my mom and older brother a slideshow on my PC, and a pesky porno started playing. I probably downloaded it on my 56K modem years back. My brother pulled the plug and said, "Oh crap, the computer had a virus." To this day he brings it up whenever we get drinking. Know those moments where your mouth works faster than your brain? My buddy was caught watching porn when he was around 15. His dad opened the door, saw the screen, and shouted at him, "Hey! What the duck are you doing?" "I'm watching porn." "What the duck does it look like?" "Alright then." He closed the door and left. Buddy was saying that he was dying inside as the words were leaving his mouth because not only was he never caught with porn, he's never sworn at his dad before. He thought his dad was gonna read him the riot act. They never talked about it, and Buddy was never caught again. I didn't get caught in the act, but when I was 14 one day my dad said to me out of the blue, "I don't care if you look at my porn, but rewind my tapes." Edit. Double silver? Sweet monkey. Thank you, kind strangers. So my second highest upvotes are all about my youthful indiscretions. Nice. This blew up. I guess I'll respond to the most common comment. I actually would memorize the number display so I could rewind back to that. I think my dad just wanted to remind me I'm not as sneaky as I thought. Back in 2010, best friend and I decided split a 2-bedroom apartment. Both 2021st years old. First off, when entering the place, there's a hallway. Kitchen to the left with an open breakfast bar facing the dining and living room straight ahead. Couches set facing away from the entry, and the TV on the far wall. If you are sitting on the couch, you have to look back to see who is either walking in or in the dining room or kitchen. Got home from work one day and dude is chilling on the couch just laying down the hammer, and Alexis Texas is the star upon the screen just taking it like a pro, as she does. Realized that he did not hear me come in. So I meander into the kitchen, grab a beer and pop that sucker open. Still didn't hear me. Volume is pretty high on the TV. So I finally say she sure can take a dick. He turns his head and looks back while stating, takes it like the best of them, and looks back to the screen. Double takes back to me and freaks the duck out. When I was young and still living at home, my stepdad had discovered how to unscramble satellite cards, so we got every channel for free. Well, they were out of town and my cat got hurt. In a panic, I called my boyfriend's parents to help me. They came over and his mom started helping me with the cat. I handed his dad, a very traditional Southern Baptist of the extremely devout variety, the remote and told him to make himself at home. A few minutes later, I heard the unmistakable sound of hardcore orgy porn and my boyfriend's father yelling, "Help! Help, I don't know how to stop it." I came in to find him with his cheeks red, his eyes covered, and the remote in the floor. I hit the power button and had to explain to him that in de-scrambling the satellite to get free service and all the good movie channels, we had all the porny channels too. I told that story at family get-togethers forever after that. I married their son. And we lost his dad in 2014 to pancreatic cancer. He was truly a wonderful, kind, and dependable man, and I miss him terribly. Got a funny story about walking in on my friend having some personal time when we were like 16 or 17. He had a room upstairs at his house, and none of his family ever went up there. Well, I showed up unannounced one evening. I was in the area and was going to see if he wanted to play some video games. When I ran upstairs, I didn't think to knock because anytime I had ever heard anyone coming up, you could clearly hear them coming. I walked through the door and he had headphones on, just going at it with all his might, and I mean on the verge of sweating, and he was oblivious to everything around him, eyes solely locked on to the computer screen. I stopped in my tracks, and even though my eyes knew what I was seeing, it took a second for my brain to process it, and around that time he apparently got a glimpse of me in his peripheral because he looked over at me and doubled over to cover himself, yelling, "Get out." And I couldn't help but bust out laughing as I turned to walk out. I ran downstairs for a few minutes so that he could collect himself and then made my way back up, knocking on the wall on my way up, yelling, "Hey man, I'm on my way up." When I walked in, we just kind of grinned at each other and never spoke of it again, and no, I didn't bring it up in front of our friends, didn't want to embarrass him. When I was 15, I was home because of school vacation. It was the middle of the day. My mom and stepdad were at work. I had the entire afternoon to myself. So I go in my room, shut the door, turn on the TV and insert the tape into the VCR. I lay down and start going to town. I'm getting close. Suddenly my bedroom door slams open and my stepdad barges in screaming, "No knock." I'm naked. I have one hand and my dick absolutely drenched in lotion. I pull the covers over myself. My stepdad is screaming at me about respect and the Kool-Aid not being full. My grades and attitude. For at least 10 minutes he does this before the porno gets loud. For a split second it dawned on him what I was doing. But then he continued to scream at me for another 10 minutes about respect and his house, his rules. How much of a pathetic piece of crap I was, and that he came all the way home on his lunch just to yell at me because he knew I'd be up to no good. He never once acknowledged that I was obviously masturbating and that he was violating my boundaries at a criminal level. Not even allowing me to get dressed or clean the lotion off my hand. Just as suddenly as he barged in, he slams the door and leaves. I was so embarrassed and violated. Devalued and degraded. I wanted to ducking die that day. Because I knew that he was going to get my mom to join in because he caught me, a 15-year-old, jerking. Sure enough, that night I got the couch lecture. This is where they make me sit on the couch while they take turns screaming at me for an hour or two. I can't defend myself or speak during this time, or they threaten to throw me on the street. So I had to listen for however long about being a pervert and a pathetic human being for masturbating. From a woman who got expelled for getting pregnant at 14 and a guy who left their Polaroid sex pic out on accident once when I was a kid. Not to mention the sex toys. It was humiliating, and to this day it still really bothers me on a deep level. So yeah, don't do that. Thanks for watching. What did you think of the story time? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any more story times.